G'day, mates. Alster, welcome back in. I mean, so much has happened since the last episode. I've got my very first win since selling all the rares, dipping the toes into the limiteds. We came oh so close in week one, and Bing Pod, here we are, week two. A couple of hundreds from the Boars, 100 from Rodri, 100 from Virgil van Dijk. Captain my lowest scoring player, but that's okay. We still won a tier 3. We'll take it. We're happy. For once, I got a reward, and I was like, yes, this is a good player. He plays for a champion team. Life is good. So I sold him immediately.
I love it. I mean, I've been kind of itching to talk to you about how you're going now that you've, moved into the yellow sphere of life. You've done away with the Reds, you've done away with the Blues. And has that done away with your Blues?
I think I like to play me some blues.
Are you feeling happier now in your Sorare life?
Oh, I'm feeling amazing. I'm watching all my games. Even if I don't want to watch the full thing, I can watch a mini match. I mean, we're winning. The strategy's working. Life is good. I can't see anything but sunshine and rainbows ahead of me.
Now, you raised an interesting point. And, people did warn you ahead of your new strategy that Champion Europe was going to be tough bickies. You mentioned there 200s from two of your players. Alisson kept a cleanie, obviously. Heung-min, it wasn't Heung-min's greatest game ever, but he did score a goal. And that's that's a pretty good start. And then what did Trent get? 55?
57, yeah.
57. The fact that you, just by captaining the wrong player, that knocked you down into tier 3s kind of shows the competition you're up against. That, that's for any other division, that's like almost a perfect game week, decisives from every single player, except your captain. So it's brutal up there. But
in the heaviest, deepest, most brutal part, all right, the Mariana Trench.
I guess.
Stop trying to bring me down with your negativity. Just let a boy be happy. You're trying to bring me back into the whinging club.
Always naysaying.
Oh, that's me.
No, I'm very happy with where I'm at. I think at the end of the day, the way I look at it is the fact that Virgil and Rodri both got hundreds is a testament that I've got players that are actually really good footballers. I feel like I've got guys that if they have a really good matchup and they play well, they're capable of those scores week in, week out because they're actually good footballers. I'm not relying on MLS players to just hope things go their way. And I think, yes, it's competitive. It's going to be bloody hard. It's going to be very hard to win anything but tier 3s, let's be honest. But I just think the fact that I've got guys that I can watch and they're actually quality, in a way, I'm giving myself more of a chance because I'm putting my faith in actually good football players, not just some random Mexican who's running around in America.
Can't trust those Mexicans.
I love the Mexican people.
Yeah, look, it's interesting because you, I think after the weekend, you messaged me and you were like, I'm such an idiot. Like I captained Trent. What's wrong with me? He's the lowest scoring player in my team. And I was like, look, if you were to look at those 5 players, Rodri, Van Dijk, Alisson, Son, and Trent, you're captaining Trent every day of the week. So the question is, Liverpool v Luton Town this weekend, who are you captaining?
Trent.
Hey man, I'm fucking Trent.
Is that the correct answer? Well, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's at the end of the day as well. I'm trying to I'm all aboard the stacks. I think we had the strategy that Liverpool have the very good fixtures coming up, and they've pretty much kept a clean sheet in nearly all of their Premier League fixtures over the past couple of weeks. Like you said, they've got some tasty matchups coming up. And my thinking is if I captain Trent, he's a very, obviously decisive sort of player, but I'm also, if they don't keep a clean sheet, Alisson's going to get 40 and my game week's over anyway. So I'm banking on Liverpool clean sheet. So I'm assuming with that logic, whatever Trent gets is going to be plus 10 from the clean sheet. So that's why I went him with my captain. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think you made the right choice. I don't think I would be captaining anyone else in that team. So, yeah, no.
My only thing is that Rodri really is running that City team at the moment. And I was listening to some podcasts and they're talking about now that De Bruyne is out, obviously with De Bruyne out, he's really the main man through that midfield running up and down box to box. So my kind of thing is maybe Rodri, in this little period before De Bruyne gets back, he could be on a heater. He's shown that one decisive and he's hitting hundreds with ease.
That is true, yeah. I think Rodri definitely makes a good case because he has got such a, Trent's got a 30 or a 40 in him, whereas Rodri really, his floor is 60 points, and he has been getting a lot of decisives lately. So, and they've got a pretty banging matchup this weekend as well against Bournemouth. So, yeah, you could definitely make a case for Rodri for sure. Big weekend for you coming up.
Massive. I can't wait for Son to be out for a DNP for the sniffles or something, but yeah, I don't know. It's just, I guess with Rodri, because he is a CDM, so it's like him playing Bournemouth, is that good for him? Because he'll dominate and just win heaps of duels. But then is he going to get through as much work? I might honestly go Rodri.
I changed my mind about God.
It's probably not as clear cut as I thought.
Now, that you raised a good point there, Heung-Min Son. So just a quick segue. You might notice that I'm wearing some fresh threads today. New jersey has been added to the collection. Went to the mailbox the other day and opened it up and saw a package inside. And we all know how exciting it is to receive a package. And you know what my first thought was? So I saw that it was from Tottenham Hotspur. That's where the sender was. My first thought was, Sorare is sending me a Spurs jersey because of my Spurs collection.
Wow, you guys are really stupid.
Which is stupid on a number of levels. I've only got 8 Spurs cards, so if they're sending jerseys to people with 8 Spurs cards, they're going to be bankrupted by the end of the week. But yeah, no.
You thought you'd accidentally won a mystery jersey in your sleep or
yeah,
something.
Maybe it did go through. Maybe, yeah, all these thoughts went through my head, and of course, that wasn't it at all. My lovely brother had sent me a late birthday present with the boy himself on the back.
Hey guys, get the fuck out of the way! I can't see!
Woo. Yeah, it made its way all the way
There
through.
it is.
And when you're referring to brother, you mean me, just for those playing along at home. Yes, I am the best sibling of all time. But
my other brother.
it also is good because you've actually got a legitimate jersey for once. This is a authentic Tottenham Hotspur kit. We're not just getting it off some illegal site.
It's nice not to have a a horrific rash after wearing it. It's lovely.
You son of a bitch! You gave me herpes!
It's turns out that these legal jerseys made out of the good stuff.
And the perks of it not being from Japan and being 4 sizes too small is fantastic.
Yes, English men's large.
Alster, so apart from the little bit of joy in the mailbox, when it comes to football at the moment, that's probably the pinnacle of your weekend. Can you run us through what happened over the course of the weekend? I mean, we've got to talk about your Cap 270 team. I think you're in some all sorts of trouble there. But you also came so close to doing really, really well.
Yeah. It was a weird game week for me. It was one of those ones where everything started off so well.
No! Oh, wait! Much better!
Good score from the GOAT, Sho Sasaki. Gustavo Bo scores a goal. My hopes are up. I'm sinning hard.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned.
And sure enough, you can only go downhill from there. Woke up in the morning to a litany of notifications from Sorare Data. At first I got Maestro. Julian Dessart has provided an assist. And I'm like, here you go, you beauty. A couple of seconds later, bummer, Julian Dessart's assist has been removed. And then a few minutes after that, oh so clumsy, Julian Dessart has committed an error led to goals.
What the fuck?
So I'm like, well, great, there we go. This is what happens when you get your hopes up. Everything's all of a sudden looking down. And then, so I looked into it, and it turned out that his assist was removed because he had kicked it at a player who then headed it in, and it came off another player, and they'd put it down as an own goal to the defender. Overnight, they updated that, and they changed it from an own goal to a goal. So Tariq Tusadali from Ghent, who scored the goal, great, it's a goal for him. So, logic would then dictate that Desart's assist is back on the table because it's not an own goal. It's a goal. So someone had to assist it.
Yeah. Great argument.
That's just basic philosophy.
Yeah.
And yeah, turns out Opta didn't agree with me. I think a bunch of people in the Jupiler League Discord were sending reports to Sorare being like, what the hell is this? I didn't think it was going to cost me that much. I was like, it would be nice to have that. But look, I've already my hopes have been up and they're now down. So they're just going to stay there. But then Galasi keeps a clean sheet and all of a sudden I'm into the tier 5s and I'm looking at the how many points you need to the next tier, and an extra 32 points would have got me into the tier 3 super rares, which, as we all know, that's pretty much the height of what I can expect in this game at the moment is tier 3 super rare. That's my mountaintop. And yeah, so that decisive, if they'd put that back on, it would have been a much better game week. I got some, Austrian bench fodder tier 5, so not that exciting. Unfortunately, I'm never going to be able to sell him or get rid of him, so he's in my gallery forever. And then yeah, God, you mentioned the 270.
Well, last week we talked about, do you get off that train before it crashes? I think you've just gone straight into a cliff.
Oh, man.
Not good. Not good at all.
What a disaster. I mean, there's a few supportive fans in the comments last week being like, mate, you can't give up. You've got to keep going. You've got to see it through to the end, reflect, analyze, move forward.
You can do it!
And I was like, you're right. Why would I give up after 1 week? This is persistence is key in Sorare. Stick with the strategy.
Yeah.
I'll show you what happened. I mean, it's not great. It makes for some pretty ugly viewing. Where are my Sorare boys? Here we go. Okay. As you can see, I hid most of my lineups on Saturday morning because it was just so depressing.
Too painful.
So look, it's I can't blame any DMPs. I can't blame can't blame anything other than the fact that my players just suck.
Here it is. Yeah.
Oh my God!
Van Leberg, who's been absolutely smashing it, all of a sudden benched for some reason. Don't worry, he got on the pitch just in time to give away a penalty. Kadri did nothing. Nacho did nothing, and then this guy. This plonker here, Stein Van Gassel. So,
what a pickup!
This is what happens when you try and plan ahead. This guy had been on a run. Let me get this bastard up. Okay, Stein, where are you?
His job's gone now. You know that, right?
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, look. Okay, I'll walk you through my thought process here. He plays for a team that's doing okay. They're doing better than they probably should be doing. They've had some big results this year. He's the captain of the team. He's 27. I don't think he's getting any big moves anytime soon. He just extended his contract. So I'm like, okay, his spot is safe.
Sounds smart. Yeah.
I bought him here. Game week 415. He'd been on a bit of a run of some good clean sheets against some pretty good opposition. He's got good AA, even the games where they don't keep a clean sheet. The occasional three goals conceded, but he's kind of a cap mode keeper anyway. And I thought, okay, the next 4 games they've got coming up are Zwolle, Volendam, who else? I mean, AZ was always going to be tough, and Utrecht. So they're the bottom 3 teams in the league. And I was like, right, if I can roll him out for 3 of those weeks, that puts me on track for my cap 270.
Oh, okay. I see what you did there.
Both weeks, he's conceded four goals and then an error led to goal in a 3-1 loss against Volendam as well. So Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't even want to talk about bloody Stein Van Gassel.
Yeah, great pickup. Really got in ahead of the curve there. The thing is like, thank God he's the captain, mate, because otherwise, if he's any other keeper, he is gone next week. We all know what it's like.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. He loses the captaincy. They just kick him out, and he never plays football again. It would not surprise me one bit. But yeah, the 270 dream. I mean, I've got to say it's dying very rapidly. Add to that, I had factored in for this coming weekend. I was like, Stein Van Gassel has a tough game against AZ, so I won't put him in my 270 lineup. But don't worry, I've got Galese in goals because they're playing their best of 3 final series. Oh no, their game falls just after the kind of deadline, so they're playing next midweek. So that's absolutely useless to me. So this coming weekend is basically just a write-off. I'll see you guys on Tuesday or Wednesday because it's not looking good for me anywhere in my gallery.
It just shows there's no point planning ahead in Sorare. It gets you nowhere.
There really isn't.
No,
There
except
really
for me,
isn't.
because
There
it
really
worked,
isn't.
and it worked really well. But,
Yeah.
I'm just better
Speaking
at Sorare
of,
than you, so what of it?
That's right. Speaking of curses, it's the much publicized newest St. Louis City fan on Sorare. How are they going?
Give him a stack, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Get him on board. I told you this would happen, Ulster. I told you I'm cursed. As soon as I've got on that City Red team, nothing but dismal performances.
You ruined everything, you stupid bitch.
I had to sit through 90 minutes of what they dished up against Sporting KC, and I wasn't surprised. I was numb. I didn't expect anything. It was exactly what I expected to happen. 3 goals in the first half. Yep. Move on. I mean, honestly, shocking.
I mean, the weird thing I've noticed about your St. Louis stack is your most exciting player in that entire stack has been Tim Parker. He's had since you were gifted that stack, he's had an own goal, a goal, another goal, a clearance off the line. He's basically he's your Cucho Hernandez.
If this was like 2021, his price would have gone quadrupled by now. Tim Parker, in form of his life.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's the Ginger Lucho.
He is the Ginger Lucho. Maybe St. Louis just need to keep pushing him forward. Game plan, give it to Tim. So, I don't know. But, I can totally see him getting knocked out in straight sets against Sporting KC. I don't want to think
We
that.
did call it.
We did call it. I mean, yeah. Not surprising. But Alistair, tell us. I tell you what. Now, during the week, I got up at like 5 a.m. and my housemate walks out to go to work. He's a tradie, common man, and he sees me sitting on the couch watching a Serbian football team running around in what looks like to be a playground in some local vicinity. And he had a few questions, Alison. Now, of course, it was the Underdogs. And I must say, I was a little bit skeptical at first. But my God, it was a short and it was a sweet romance. But I loved him. I bloody loved him.
Yeah, it was quite fun. I really enjoyed this new segment, and I think we're definitely going to do it again this weekend. Basically, for anyone who missed last week's episode, we're all about the underdogs here, and we picked the team with the least chance of getting a win last week. FC Chukaritski. I've learned how to say it since last week's episode. Not Kukariki, surprisingly. Chukaritski. We learned a little bit about the local town, the local, the local law. And we were right behind the boys. Basically, what was happening was if Chukaritski were to get a win against all the odds, we would instantly become the biggest Chukaritski fans in Australia, at least. We'd buy a jersey. We'd probably see if we could buy a few of their players on Sorare. It would be all Chukaritski for the rest of our lives. How did they go, Simon? Did they get up?
They certainly did not get up. 6-0 thrashing. A man sent off midway through the first half. I think it took 4 minutes for them to concede. 8 minutes to concede their second. And look, we were trying to stay optimistic. We were really trying to rally around the boys. But I think even we all of a sudden realized that it was a mountain too steep to climb.
They got up out of bed, you could say.
Yeah, that's about all they
Barely,
achieved that day.
barely.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah. Surprise. Surprise,
All right.
surprise. Serbian
Well,
footballers, not very good.
Chukaritsky, you're dead to us.
No, never liked them anyway.
So let's have a look at who's next. Let me all right, game week 421. The biggest favourites, Beijing Guan, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
Powerhouse.
So I'm assuming that it's going to be whoever's playing them. Sepahan. Okay, Jesus Christ. It was Sepahan. Oh no, we need them to actually have a percentage. Shenzhen. Okay.
So what? No percentage means it's impossible.
There's no odds. It doesn't mean
Okay.
it's literally impossible. They can't. We will not allow them legally to win the game.
Yeah.
Okay, Shenzhen. All right, this is going to be tough.
They've got, was that a
Let's have a
3%
look at-
win? Is that 3%?
It's at 3%. I think that might even be less than the percentage of
Jukariski.
Chutskaritsky last. Chutskaritsky. All right, no Sorare players apart from Wakaso, who
Scores well.
He is.
Scores
Scores well.
well.
Yeah. Oh, not bad. Old Wakaso. Look at that L15. Woo.
Woo.
Game breaker.
Okay.
Okay,
Right.
Shenzhen. Okay, they are bottom of the league in the Chinese Super League. It's going to be a big upset. I don't know how we're going to watch this game, but I'm sure Bet365's got a stream there somewhere.
Yeah.
Shenzhen FC.
But we kind of
Okay,
got lucky
let's have a
last
look at
time
them.
that it was in that conference league or whatever. We actually got a good stream. Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, that obviously... Okay,
Damn.
so Shenzhen have conceded 76 goals this year.
Not great, Bob.
Maybe we need to change the rules. If they can just score a goal, we're in. We're on board.
Honestly, we should give them a gold star for getting on the pitch. I would have given up by now.
Negative 54. Okay, we've got to back at Shenzhen FC. If anyone out there on the stream is a Shenzhen FC fan, please let us know. Is this a team on the rebuild? You know, have they got any potential whatsoever to pull off the impossible? 3% win percentage. I don't like our chances, but hey, we'll be watching closely.
That's the beauty of the underdog, you know? We don't want someone who's a good chance of winning. We want someone who's given no hope. And we're give them a little chance. So, there you go. I've forgotten the name already, but whatever the team is, go them.
That's right. All right, Shenzhen FC, we are
Shenzhen.
your new biggest fans until you let us down, in which case you're dead to us. Shenzhen FC, the pride of the Guangdong province. Formed in 1994, just days after Queen Elizabeth fell off a horse and broke her wrist, Shenzhen FC has experienced a turbulent time in the Chinese Super League. Owned by marketing whiz Gary Shandling, not that Gary Shandling, Shenzhen FC has been through a number of innovative and cutting-edge rebrands as the club struggled to find its footing amongst the good graces of a Chinese public who, quite frankly, couldn't give a chicken chow mein about football. Since inception, Shenzhen FC has been rebranded multiple times in an attempt to capture a wider segment of the consumer market. Starting with Shenzhen FC, they then changed their name to Shenzhen Feiada, Shenzhen Ping An, Shenzhen Ping An Insurance, Shenzhen Ping An Kaijian, Shenzhen Ping An Insurance, Shenzhen Jin Lao Bao, Shenzhen Kingwei, Shenzhen Jingwei, Shenzhen Asia Travel in brackets Leijun FC, Shenzhen Ruby FC, before finally settling on Shenzhen FC. One thing that has remained a constant is their team nickname. Traditionally known as the Phoenix, apart from a brief stint in 2002 when Gary decided to try telling people to call them the Bulls of Beijing, which was both confusing and misleading. The Phoenix, or Phoenices, are aptly named for their tenacity and resilience in the face of relegation pretty much every season since they've begun playing. Shenzhen FC are famous for an incident in 1999 when former US President Bill Clinton attended a match of theirs against rival Shanghai. Despite much confusion from the press, Bill watched on as Shenzhen fell to a 9-0 defeat. It was later uncovered that Bill Clinton, a keen sports gambler, had a 3-leg multi riding on the Shenzhen keeper to concede 4 goals or more. An ongoing investigation into the performance of the Shenzhen goalkeeper that day was abandoned after Bill Clinton's bodyguard showed up at Shenzhen training looking scary. Shenzhen FC, they aren't great, but my God, they try hard. All right, Simon, what is next?
Great segue.
How does a comedian get to work?
How?
On a Segway.
That was just a really
Should
bad.
I take over?
That was a really bad segue. You're just like, what's next? I was like, oh, okay.
What more do you want from me?
Well, Alistair, I think it's time to revisit an old segment of ours. Probably maybe a couple of months ago, it was already sort of common knowledge, but we put out into the world the 10 commandments of Sorare. The 10 rules to live by to ensure you live a fruitful, happy life on the Sorare platform. Now, of course, we haven't listened to them at all, constantly sinning, causing ourselves pain. But I thought, it's time to visit what are the inevitables in Sorare? What are the things where there's, higher powers involved that we as mere mortals have no impact on, that we can only put our hands up and accept whatever the gods give us?
Yeah, I think previously we were dabbling in the religious realm, the moral rules of Sorare. This week we're more scientific. We're getting under the microscope and we're looking at the laws of physics that is Sorare. Like you said, these things are beyond our understanding. They are beyond our control. You've just got to come to terms with them and realize that they exist and try and work as best you can around them as you play Sorare. The laws of nature for Sorare.
Well,
Stop
of course,
this from
Alistair,
happening.
it's your goalkeeper conceding in the 90th minute, deep into stoppage time. You've already locked and loaded. You've banked away that clean sheet in your mind. But oh no, just wait. Last kick of the game. The game's over. It was meant to be a 3-0 win. No one else cares. It's a consolation goal, but it's completely ruined your game week.
Yeah, so what you're saying is if you've got a goalkeeper with a clean sheet, it's impossible to get a clean sheet, is what you're saying.
Yeah, never happened.
No one has ever got a clean sheet in the history of Sorare because they will always concede in the 90th plus minute.
Yes, science!
This one, I think, happens to everybody, at some point in their season, and it's a player hitting 100 in a dead lineup.
Oh my god!
We've all been there. We've all popped a team in just kind of thinking, we'll see how it goes. Obviously, I don't think the keeper's going to play. Sure enough, they don't play. The lineup's dead. You've hidden it on Sorare data. You've given up all hope. And then sure enough, that little smoky you got sitting in the back there all of a sudden gets a clearance off the line and a little assist from a deflected header. And bang, he's got 100. It's his first 100. It's a big moment. If only you'd put him in a proper lineup.
Yes, science!
Now, our third one, Alistair, you can relate to more than anyone, I would say. And now it's buying a goalkeeper just in time for them to shit the bed and completely lose their job and never play again.
Yeah, we touched on this earlier. Stern Van Gassel is a great example of this, and it's happened to me more times than I can count. A couple of times this season already. I bought a Ivan Filipovic from Paris FC, young up-and-coming goalkeeper. You do your research. Is this guy locked in? Some guy in Discord tells you, yeah, of course he is. He's not going anywhere. 3 weeks later, he's conceded a couple of goals and he's out the team. So that happened to me already. And then, as we've touched on earlier, Stein Van Gassel, big super rare purchase. I've got all the best intentions in the world. He's got an easy run of fixtures coming up. What could go wrong? Everything.
Yes, science!
The next one is, I guess, it's a little bit more opaque, but just know that if you haven't won a reward for a while and you finally, the stars align and things finally kind of, happen for you. You've banged out, you've hit your ceilings on all your players, you got a juicy tier 2 reward coming in. You can bet your bottom dollar it's not going to be a player you want to use. You can bet that it's going to be some young wonder kid with loads of potential, but absolutely diddly fuck all utility in the short term. It's always going to happen. Don't get your hopes up. We all know that's a sin. And Sorare know this. They know that those who really need a reward You know, those who have been thirsting for it for weeks and weeks. What better way to quench that thirst than to give them a player that, you know, in a couple of years' time could be worth quite a pretty penny?
What they want to do is they want to string you along. They want to give you that hope. They want to give you that promise of, well, I've got that winning feeling, but I'm still not satisfied. I'm drinking, but I'm not quenched.
Yes, science!
This one goes out to all my Bayern brothers. When your stack finally gets that big 5-0 win, but you've got the wrong combination of players. How often does it happen?
What's wrong, dear? It's the wrong one.
You know, when you've got a stack, if you've got a full team stack, a 5-0 win is like Christmas has come early. It doesn't get any better. Only to find out when you've got the wrong guy, it's actually the other fullback that's got the 2 double decisives. You know, your guy's just got a 55 somehow on a 5-0 win. Yeah, nothing more frustrating. But it happens. Absolutely.
It's impossible. It's literally impossible to pick the right 5 guys. I mean, what are the odds? I mean, there's 11 players on the pitch. The odds of you picking the right 5 have got to be 1 trillion to 1.
Yes, science!
You will always captain the lowest scoring player in your team. Again, it's the chances of you picking the right one are nearly 0. You know, you might think you've got self-control. You think you've got control over that captaincy choice. You don't.
Yeah, you know, they've got the great fixture. They're the best scoring player in your lineup, you know, for an L15, L40 kind of thing. But of course, yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yes, science!
Now, this one I generally feel like happens all the time. All the time. You're fitting your players into a cap 240 lineup and you're 1 gem over the threshold. Does that happen to anyone else? Or, like, I'm sure it does, because it is uncanny how often I'm like, this actually looks pretty good. This is a strong cap 240 team. And it's 1 gem. And like, to get under the threshold, you have to completely obliterate your team.
Well, I mean, the easy way around that, Simon, is you just go and buy another player who fits into the cap, and then you just never use him again after that.
Yes, science!
The laws of nature. Sorare. All right, now, Simon, weekend ahead. I mean, I've already kind of alluded to the fact that my weekend is looking atrocious. Like, I think all of my players have got bad matchups across the board. Like, my only playing super rare goalkeeper is up against AZ, and as we've established, he couldn't keep. He conceded 4 against Zwolle. I don't think he's got any chance against AZ. And then even my rare boys, I think, you know, Tottenham have got Chelsea, which they're not great, but it's not an amazing fixture. And Newcastle have Arsenal, so it's like I said, I'll see you on Wednesday. But you have an absolute killer lineup in the works. Now, the only thing I would say is that Heung-min Son is your only striker, and again, Chelsea not great, but still Chelsea not the best matchup in the world. Are you worried about ruining the lineup, which, as for those who don't know, Liverpool play Luton Town, always a good time, and Rodri is up against Bournemouth, also a bit of a walk in the park. So do you want to run the risk of Heung-min Son letting the team down in a potential 0-0 draw against Chelsea, or are you willing to back the boy?
Well, just firstly, you've already cursed the lineup.
I put a curse on you!
By saying, you know, you've got a great matchups across the board, you can't lose, so it's over. So thanks for that. Yep. Look, I don't know, man. I'm worried it could be a slippery slope if I'm every weekend buying a player just to, because there's always going to be gaps to fill, right? But in the limiteds, like, it is pretty easy to buy and sell. You know, do I get
Mo Salah?
A Mo Salah? Well, I won a €10 card on the weekend, so potentially I could sell that. Well, I've sold that card. I've got €10 to spend. If there's anyone worth
Surely Mo Salah, you can get a Mo Salah for $10, surely.
But it doesn't have to be Mo Salah.
Today's market.
Why couldn't it be, you know, a Nunez or someone, or like someone who's not that great but against Luton?
Mm-hmm. Or you could just go to the old pick scores section. You know how to work the pick scores?
I do not.
Oh dear. How have you got this far in Sorare?
Haven't really got
a
anywhere.
podcast. God. Oh dear. All right, we'll get rid of Mavasso. Alrighty, so basically what you do is you go game week, pick scores,
Oh, yep.
and then you be playing in champion. Yep, and then you can select forward, and it'll tell you who has the best matchup of the weekend, basically. So
Kylian
Mbappe, nice bargain basement player there. Harry Kane, again, nice and cheap. They're really setting you up here. Not really anyone, Erling Haaland, these are all your, again, just bargain bin kind of players. But yeah, you can look through that list and be like, okay, who's got a good matchup? It does say that Heung-min Son has an AA matchup against Chelsea, and you could say that Chelsea are awful.
You can't buy another player when your forward has a double A matchup. Surely, that's...
Yeah,
come on.
I mean, look, I'm wearing his jersey. I've got to stand behind my boy Heung-min. I reckon he'll smash.
Yeah, thanks for that, Elster. Now you filled me with lots of confidence. But it's going to be a weird weekend as well because I'm away. I'm at the races in the country with no service. I'm actually I'm quite devastatingly, I'm not going to be able to watch any of my games except for maybe in the morning on a replay or something. So, you know how we were saying before, whether you prefer to watch it live or just get all your scores at once? It's going to be weird when I wake up violently hungover on Sunday or whenever the game is. I'll be drinking all weekend, so I'm going to be hungover regardless what day it is. And I'm going to have all the notifications at once, and I feel like it could be pure pandemonium, or I think it's worse if I get there and there's no notifications. Then it means just everyone's been fine.
Yeah, I mean, I've done this once in my life when I was, where was I?
Africa.
I was in the African wilderness, yeah. Came back, and the whole time I was like, what could happen? It's all happening right now, and I don't know what's happening. I thought maybe it would just leave my mind, and I'd just be free of it, and I'd just experience what it's like to not be completely obsessed with Sorare for just a second of my life. But that wasn't the case. I just thought about it the entire time. Pulled into the old food court, got some Wi-Fi for the first time in 4 or 5 days, opened her up, put it back down again. Cried a little inside. So it can go one of two ways, and I would have to say that my experience, it was pretty heartbreaking to pick up the phone, see a bunch of bad stuff, put it back down again.
Yeah,
I think I like the slow drip feed. I think the drip feed is probably the way to go, but
yeah.
Well,
maybe I might be checking my phone at 2 a.m. in the morning, and which might not remember it, but could be fun. So we'll see how we go.
I've found when you've got access to watching highlights or an extended highlights of a game the next morning, I've found that's quite fun to just watch it, and just pretend you're in the day before. So if you can try and stay off your Sorare, turn your notifications off, turn them off, and just watch the game the next morning, I think you'd be right.
Yeah, good shout. It's a good shout. Now, just to sort of wrap up, I guess, Sorare NBA, it's well and truly back now, probably 1 or 2 weeks in. I'm still playing my, free-to-play fantasy with my mates. Quite enjoying it. Have you dabbled back in on Sorare NBA or?
Haven't bought anything yet, but I am planning to get back into it. I played the Common League last year. Kind of enjoyed it. I think I got a feel for how it all works. But I do want to put some more money into Sorare, save them from bankruptcy, buy a couple of rare basketball players. I've been thinking a lot about what my strategy is going to be, and I do think that primarily I'm going to try and flip players.
How much for the quarter? Why would I sell a quarter? It's worth 25 cents. I'm not going to go lower than
24 cents.
Which I know sounds dangerous, but I think basketball is one of those sports where any given week, if a player is out, all of a sudden you got that low cap L10 guy who is forecasted, the projections I think are usually pretty accurate, which it's very different from soccer where you don't know what's going to happen. they generally know roughly, how many minutes someone's going to play and what their usage will be and whether they'll get a certain amount of fantasy points. So my plan is to kind of just go out and buy a bunch of backups, and just play the waiting game. And those weeks where they're the cheat code,
make your $2 profit.
Come shopping, baby. Yeah, that's it. So I think, but I am also going to try and roll out like a proper team each week. But I think, primarily most of my funds is going to be going towards, picking up those kind of backup players and just waiting for the right time to sell them. I do want to buy like an MVP though, so I'm trying to think who that's going to be. I'm leaning towards a Luka Doncic. That would be pretty great to have. Like I said, I'm going to buy a team to play, but most of my funds are going to go towards flipping.
You interested in a Wembanyama? Would that sell for like 12 ETH or something?
Not really. Not because I don't think he's going to be good. He just looks ridiculous. I can't imagine those legs. I feel like he's going to snap at any moment. He just doesn't look right. Something about him doesn't look right. He's too long.
It's a good
Any
point,
sports
actually.
scientists out there who want to, back me up on this, but I think a man looks too long.
He'd be awful at like cricket because his shins are just so long. Like he'd get so many LBWs, I reckon. Just watch that.
Still got to hit the stumps, mate.
Oh, yeah, true.
Let's not start our own cricket podcast, but that's a terrible start to our cricket. A cricket spin-off. Simon just very tenuous hold on the laws of LBW. Not good.
Good point. There you go. All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up there. I mean, you sort of touched on your weekend's over. My weekend was looking good until about 5 minutes ago, where you got your hopes up about it and said it was looking really good. So it's done
promising.
now. But look forward to seeing you on the flip side next week. It could be very interesting to see how we both, come out the other side of this weekend. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, can't wait for the Stein Van Gassel 90, that he rolls out, keeps the clean sheet heroically against AZ in a dead lineup, of course.
Of course.
It all comes full circle.
We'll catch you later, mates. See you next time.
See you, mates. Bye.